Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're based. Today with us we have Reine Metlej, Lebanese entrepreneur, Forbes 30 under 30, and former advisor to the Ministry of Industry. Reine, the floor is directly straight to you. Please feel free to introduce yourself to the world.
Hello, Alex. First of all, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Reine Metlej. I'm from Lebanon, and I will tell you a bit more about myself. Um, so I will start with it like a story. I actually come from a very small village in North Lebanon, and I always say it in all my interviews because it really shaped how I work today. Because I didn't come from a system where opportunities were obvious or structured, and I had to build everything step by step. So we can say that I'm self-made. And I started as an environmental engineer, but then I realized that engineering gave me more than the technical skills. It trained me to think analytically, make decisions under uncertainty, and also solve complex problems. So, and then after I started as environmental engineer, I decided to shift to be a consultant. So now I work as a consultant, trainer, and coach, mainly with entrepreneurs, startups, and enterprises, and also with the public sector. My work focuses mainly focuses on business strategy, leadership, execution, and sustainability, everything related to the environment. So basically, I help people turn ideas into something that actually works in real life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you able to talk to us a little bit about what kind of environmental projects are important to you and what do you see in terms of key differences in environmental projects from one region to another?
Yes. So mainly I work, most of my work is in waste management, organic waste and non-organic waste, solid waste. We're launching soon a huge project in the electronic waste, so I'm not going to talk about it at the moment. But when it comes to organic waste, I worked a lot with national and international organizations and businesses to manage organic waste and to generate energy out of it. So to benefit from it as a source of energy, mainly in Lebanon, but the second project is not in Lebanon. However, so I always see that there's a lot of challenges when it comes to waste management and the environmental projects. Some countries are focusing a lot on the environment, but unfortunately, we still see that in Lebanon and the area here, we don't have that focus and they are not that interested about environment.
It's really a
That's
Mediterranean thing, I would say.
what?
It's really a Mediterranean thing, I would say.
Yes, yes. I didn't want to say it that way, but yeah, unfortunately. So we're trying to showcase the benefits of waste in a way or another, just to make them, to make people see the importance of working on in waste management and managing the waste in the right way.
Right, that's very interesting because just recently I was reading an article about Finland and how they've managed to warm up their whole cities just from managing their waste. And it's a very prime and beautiful example. And I was wondering if something like that could be applicable in our region, whether it is to cool down or warm up the cities. So, you're the expert. Tell me.
It is definitely applicable, and that's what we always try to say to the government here in Lebanon, that because if you don't want to pay like billions of dollars on just putting the waste in the dump sites, you can just work on a smart strategy to benefit from this waste and have a plan for the waste management for the country and generate electricity or energy out of it. So it is applicable in all kinds and all the types of waste, not only organic. However, it needs just decision from the government and also the will to do something and make a change.
Right. Well, I don't want to deep dive too much into governments and decision making, but let me frame it in a different way. How's the experience for you working with the public sector and working with the private sector? And you could draw from your experience in the ministry, or in general from working with other governments. I mean, how do they vary from each other?
Uh, so working with the public sector is not that easy. It's a bit challenging, and so you can't work like it's not very theoretical. You know that we talk a lot, we say a lot, but when it comes to the real world and to the real work on the ground, it's very challenging to make an impact and to make a change when you don't have the support system and the when you have like some challenges in the system itself. So it was a real nice experience. It was challenging, and it just helped me to see the dynamics of the public sector and how it's really different than the private sector. So working with the private sector is definitely easier, and you can make work faster. However, working with the public sector comes with a lot of challenges and with a lot of bottlenecks, which is sometimes you face a lot of things that you don't have, you can't make a change when you are a part of the system itself.
Right. I understand. I understand. And let me ask you something, because we see that in the region, there's a lot of innovation, all kinds of innovation coming from not so much countries like Lebanon or Egypt that I'm familiar with, but mostly countries like the United Arab Emirates or the KSA. What do you think makes them more successful vis-a-vis, the countries that we're familiar with?
So I believe that facing challenges comes with a lot of good part as well. That's why we have a lot of innovative people here in the this part of the world and the developing countries. People are really like I work a lot with amazing entrepreneurs. They have talents, they have ambition. Even though they are operating in very unstable environments, but you can see the innovation they are always coming up with and everything. So I noticed that ideas isn't the problem, aren't the main problem. Decision making is also when it comes to founders, because many founders are smart, they are innovative, they are very technical, but they are exhausted, overwhelmed, and sometimes operating in survival mode. Uh, so my role is often to
Feature of the
bring
region.
what.
It's a key feature of the region.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why I come in, and my role is often to bring structure, clarity, and discipline, helping them making better decisions, maybe trying to figure out some solutions and opportunities, build teams, and design businesses that can actually survive uncertainty. Because this is the main challenge that we have here.
Right, right. Okay, let me side question that a little bit and ask you in terms of industry in Lebanon. Anybody that's familiar with Lebanon knows that especially when it comes to innovation, any form of sort of entrepreneurship, and particularly for Lebanese expats that are outside Lebanon, they're really, really, really successful. But how do you see the industry shaping within Lebanon, inside Lebanon? Do you think that will fix with the economy? Do you see any steps towards the improvement of that?
Industry in Lebanon. This is a very nice question.
It's
So
an open-ended question as well. You can tackle it any way you want.
yeah. So in Lebanon, we can see there's a lot of startups. There is a lot of entrepreneurs and programs that are supporting entrepreneurs in Lebanon. However, the main challenge here is the economy itself,
Mm,
because like you can see that like maybe 70% or 80% of the businesses in Lebanon are startups, but they are not able to scale up or to grow a lot and exponentially because of the economy itself. And I want to mention something here, which is unfortunately, Lebanese economy has deeply damaged by corruption, which is, we all know that, it's not a secret. We have a lot of mismanagement and also the absence of accountability.
mm,
So what I see that entrepreneurs are not failing because they're weak, but they are operating inside this broken system.
mhm.
And so this is the main challenge. And but I believe that when I see people are still building, still creating value, and still showing up, even like doing it without safety nets, without trust institutions, without banks here in Lebanon, and without the basic infrastructure needed for any startup, any business, even the big businesses, not only for startups. This is the real challenge that they have, but I believe that we're resilient. This is a
You are
not
indeed.
only Lebanese people, in the origin, I believe that we're resilient, and we really know how to build up after we collapse. And every time the system fails or we have any problem, we can build up again and grow up again. So I'm really hopeful in the industry itself and the economy itself, and I really believe that someday we'll reach what we want, where we want to reach. However, it's just a phase, and we're passing through at the moment.
That's very optimistic. Lebanon has been hit hard for quite some time, so I like this positive optimism that you have, and I sincerely hope that industry leads the economy. Let me ask you something else. There's an attempt into shaping a series of public reforms in Lebanon. Do you think that those are driven by industry needs and market needs, or is it an attempt to try and stabilize the system that is currently ongoing in Lebanon? Again,
I
open
believe,
the question, approach it any way you like.
yeah, actually, I believe it's both, because there's a lot of like changes needed in the market, and also when it comes to the system and the political part of it, there's some pressure to do some changes and changes in the system itself. So I think the outside factors happening at the moment also will help in making a change, and maybe a positive change. I'm not sure. I can't say anything about Lebanon, but hopefully a positive change.
Okay, that's I think that's good enough. Shifting a little bit the conversation. You're a Forbes 30 under 30. You have your current consultancy. Can you walk us a little bit through that journey? How did you feel getting that title? What it meant for you? How did you manage to get it? Anything you want to share about that experience, and has that helped your current consultancy, and where do you see it going?
So yeah, I was on Forbes 30 under 30, and how I managed to do it, I didn't manage at all. It just happened. So they just reached out telling that I'm shortlisted, and then they just told me that I'm on Forbes 30 under 30. Recognition like this is like even Forbes 30 under 30, or even because I was also nominated to participate in AUS International Visitor Leadership Program. So I also went to the AS for this program. These titles and these recognitions are like, for me, they are like more like a validation that work coming from this region can have global relevance. And those moments remind me always that impact doesn't depend on where you start or with what you start. It depends on how intentionally you build. So it wasn't about, for me, it wasn't about the title itself. It was more about validation, about that we're coming from this region, from someone who didn't come from privilege, can still have global impact. And ending up in global spaces always reminds me that where you start doesn't define how far you can go. And this is what I always say to entrepreneurs, that wherever you are, with any resources that you can have, or even if you don't have any resources, you can go as far as possible, and you can do a lot of things in your life. So it's really nice to have these titles, and I don't know if I can still have more, but let's see.
Okay. Talk to us a little bit about your consultancy. You help a lot of entrepreneurs. What is some of the bottlenecks you currently see? And do those shift on a per geo basis? And how easy is it for you to adapt in each bottleneck? Floor's yours.
Yes. I will shift the question on something else when it comes to me as a consultant working in consulting and leadership and entrepreneurship. So I just want to mention something, because, like, especially being a woman in these fields, or in any field, not only these fields, it always comes with some challenges, especially in environments where professionalism isn't always respected. So you face a lot of situation, and sometimes people underestimate your role at the table, especially if you're a woman and or a young person. And I just want to say that if any woman out there is facing that at the moment, I just want to tell you that I passed through that. I'm still passing through it with a lot of people. But my response has never been to leave or disengage. I always stay. I draw very clear boundaries, and I let the quality of my work speak. And over time, this always like changes the dynamic because value is hard to ignore. And I always think that I really don't need to prove myself emotionally. I prove myself through results. And once people realize you're here for work and not games, most of them adjust. Actually, all of them adjust. So,
Ask you something on that point. Sorry.
what?
Um, you mentioned two keywords for me, woman and value. So do you think it's problems that are gender specific or problems that are value specific? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because for me, for example, seeing someone from a harsh environment building what they've built and being who they are, I wouldn't look at the gender so much as I would look at the value. Do you think that's generally the case, or is it a case of looking at a gender-based model or a value-based model?
I think it's a gender-based model.
Can you deep dive more into it?
From my experience, because you know that, for example, when I started working at the ministry, I was this young female coming to the ministry, and they sometimes just look at you and say like, yeah, she's young, she's female, she's beautiful, so she doesn't have value. And this is something I don't know if it's like a stereotype or something, but it really pissed me off because hey, I'm here to work. I'm not here to play a game. So and I really am not here to be liked. And this is something that helped me a lot. That I always think that I don't want to be liked. I'm here to deliver results. So I always separate emotion from execution, and I don't react. So I just respond. I keep things professional. I keep focusing on my work and on the outcomes of my work and the value I'm bringing to the table. And after a while, people will definitely realize that you're serious about your work, and that tone will change automatically from their side. And I think that's my power when it comes to how I fight these battles, and the standards. My standards do the work for me, actually.
Do you enjoy the retribution that comes from proving them wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, all right. Sorry, that was a small sidestep. Let's go back into your consultancy. You were saying something previously, and I interrupted you. Please, impact in terms of consulting and leadership. Go for it.
So mainly aside from being working in sustainability and environment, as I mentioned, I work a lot with entrepreneurs and startups in different countries, and I deliver trainings, coaching, and mentoring. I work with the biggest accelerators in the world. So my work is mainly daily with the startups and entrepreneurs, and every time we have something new to tackle and a new challenge. And so on one side, it's very practical because I teach a lot about the business models, the strategy, and execution. But also on the other side, it's a human leadership. It's human. It's leadership presence, communication, emotional intelligence, and team dynamics. And I really love that because I feel that I have this combination between love to work with the humans, and at the same time having this business mindset and strategy and teaching it. So yeah.
That's an awesome combination. It brings a lot of questions into my mind. I think the prime one is in terms of market. Again, do you see where do you see the most innovation happening at the current moment?
So we have innovations in a lot of industries and verticals, to be honest. So we have the ad tech, AI, we have fashion tech, agri tech, clean tech. It's a lot. It depends. So I'm exposed based on the programs that I teach. So it depends on the programs and the industries that are working on. But I can assure you that innovation is everywhere at the moment. But the main question is everyone going to make it and have the real business out of this innovation? So this is the question, because a lot of startups fail, unfortunately, and that's what we're trying to overcome. Which is, if you want to fail, fail at the beginning and not after, like putting a lot of work and effort and many years on trying to build something and then just fail because maybe the idea is not valid, maybe the market is not valid, maybe So so that's what we're trying to do.
Why do you think most fail?
Um,
Is it a leadership issue? Is it something else? Is it a market issue? What have you seen?
Yeah, sometimes you see someone very technical, very has the know-how of the idea and everything, but when it comes to logic and the business logic, he or she doesn't have anything at all, which is not a big problem because you can bring this knowledge to your company or startup, or you can partner with someone who has this background. But starting an idea, you feel at the beginning that this is your baby and you just want to protect it from everyone, even if like someone who can help you and support you in the know-how. And that's what make sometimes the businesses fail. And for example, when it comes to me, I started a startup long time ago, and I failed because of the partnership. It was a very toxic partnership, and we decided to just stop everything because I wasn't like able to manage my relation with my partner. She wanted something, and I wanted something, and we had this conflict all the time. So this is this is also one of the reasons startups fail. So there's a lot of reasons, but yeah.
Well, look, it's good that these reasons are out in the open for people to hear, because you always hear about the success stories of startups and you never hear about what goes down. What about in terms of leadership, like from your coaching and your consulting in matters that have to do with leadership? What are some key qualities you see in a good leader? What are some of the things you try to coach and teach? And how do you see it being different between one sector or geo in comparison to the other?
So leadership is very important, and to become a leader is not like some people mistaken being a leader from being a boss or being the founder of the startup. And for me, being a leader is to teach people to be part of a team, to be the role model, to have this vision and that you're seeing, and you're able to put it into work and not only in a theoretical way. So sometimes يعني it's born with you, and sometimes you can build this character to be a leader. So this is what we're this is my role, is to train leadership and to make people real leaders. And unfortunately, as I mentioned, I work with officials, and I always, in the sessions, I always believe that not all of them are leaders, unfortunately, because their traits and their personality, their character, how they are leading, they really sometimes don't care about impact or about people. They just care about themselves and about just being with this title and having the authority and just leading, not leading, just like having the authority and dominance to be like in their titles and in their positions. So it takes a lot to be a real leader and to really love to empower others and not only focus on yourself. But there's a lot of leaders, and also you can see that there is a lot of people that are not leaders. It depends on, well, I see a lot of people. Sometimes I feel that they are real leaders, sometimes not.
I have a thesis that I would like to discuss with you about that. And for me, I tend to say this frequently, that leaders, the harsher the environment you've been grown in, the probably better leader you will be. So that's one part of my thesis. The second part of my thesis is that people that are in pursuit of power roles usually are heavily influenced by the corruption roles that come with it. So take from that what you want, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Actually, I agree with the two sentences that you just said, because I believe that coming from a harsh environment makes you like a very real person, if you want to say. I don't have the words at the moment, but it really built something valuable out of this person, passing through hard moments and coming from a harsh environment and facing a lot of challenges. And saying that, I always, like, I wrote like 3 articles on LinkedIn on that, coming from this environment and believing that you should sometimes love the problems that you pass through, because they are the reason you are like that today, and they are the reason behind the personality that you built. So I agree with that. And also on the second part, I agree with the second sentence, because I don't know how to explain it, but I really believe that maybe 90% of people in power positions, they are corrupted. This is how I see it, because maybe because they are, well, I don't know, maybe because it's the system itself, maybe because they are already corrupted, and that's why they had the opportunity to come in the system. I don't know, it's really complicated, but you, or maybe sometimes I always think that having the power makes you maybe blind, and you don't see anything other than you're just powerful. You can do whatever you want. No one will say anything. No one will
More sustainable.
think you. Yeah. So maybe that's how they become corrupted. I don't know. Maybe they are already corrupted.
Yeah, okay. It's just that, and I don't want to take a hit on anyone specifically, but in most cases, these people come from a very specific background. They go through a very specific Ivy League or brand name university, and then they're just positioned into a title. So there's no experience particularly that comes with it, vis-a-vis somebody that has grinded their whole life, taken community college, basic education, and then build it from that on. And I feel that the latter builds more compassion rather than the former, because the former doesn't really have an understanding of how the world works. They just have understanding of their own system and their own funnel that they came from. And I feel that you kind of agree with that, but floor's yours.
Uh, it's a bit complicated to explain how I see things. And I don't want yet to hit anyone, but
Sure.
but yeah, I really don't know. It's a very personal thing, and it's based on the perspective of each and everyone. So my perspective is a bit different, maybe because I worked with officials and I passed through a lot. So maybe I like the way I see things is a bit different, and I believe that like you can't be anyone else. So even the corrupted ones, I don't know why they can become corrupted. So
Mm.
maybe something. Yeah, I don't want to put now like they are not
Oh,
the
of course.
victims, of course. But yeah, I just see things a bit different. But I really feel, and I sometimes I always like feel that I'm afraid that maybe if one day I'm in a power position or in the government or whatever, I always say maybe I will change or I will just stay the same. Or so it's really also a like something, a debate that I don't know if everyone think of that or only me, but I really always think that maybe the power itself is the problem. And maybe if you are, I don't know, what do you think if you are a minister? How do you act?
Well, there's an honest answer to that, and there's a dishonest answer to that. If you ask me honestly, I would tell you it depends where and under what circumstances. If I wanted to do some work, I would probably ask for a difficult ministry. If I wanted to be corrupt, I would probably ask for something like the Ministry of Shipping or Transportation.
But maybe you don't want to be corrupt. That's the idea. So I don't know if it's intentional that they want to be corrupt or it just happens. So this is also a question.
I feel that there's a very strong predisposition towards it, but I also feel that the environment plays a very important role. So if you're playing the game
Exactly.
in a rigged environment, you have to adjust to the game to continue playing it.
Because there will be a lot of pressure, and even maybe sometimes good people will become bad. So that's my question. So maybe they are bad because of the system itself, and they had to be acting like that, because think of it. For example, in Lebanon, I know that the system is very corrupted, from like deeply corrupted. And if a good minister comes, and there's a lot of good ministers in the new government at the moment, but do you think that they will let them do the work, the real work? Because this will be negative to them, and they can't, like,
It's a dark circle. You just keep going around in loops. They will eventually have to
exactly.
be corrupted a little bit, and then this has that impact, and it keeps going and going and going. So the question that I asked you in the beginning remains: do you really, really think the Mediterranean, not just Lebanon, but the Mediterranean as a whole, can change?
Um, so it can change, but if all the corrupted ones die, they will die maybe. So maybe, or just leave the power and the government and everything, all of them, all the corrupted ones, which is a bit hard. So that's why we're trying to have some of them leaving every, like, now and then, just to reach that point. I don't know. It's really a question that no one knows the answer for it. So
Well, let's just leave it out there then. Okay, we're wrapping up a little bit on time, so just to conclude this, for any young leader out there, or for any entrepreneur, or anybody that has an idea, and there's two parts to this. One is how can they find you, and the other one is, do you have any words of wisdom that you'd like to part with?
yes, first of all, how can they find me? They can just reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm very responsive, and you can take it from there. I can give my email and all my contact details, and set up a call with anyone to explore opportunities and try to help. And second, I just want to tell everyone, as a conclusion, as I mentioned before, just start with, whenever you are with anything you have, just start. And for all entrepreneurs out there, I say that you can make magic. You can reach a lot of, like, you can go so far with what you have and what you're building. And I really believe in each and everyone trying to do something, even if you failed, even if you didn't do it. Just trying is very important. And for me, I always say that impact really drives me, real impact, not theory. So whether I'm working with a startup, an enterprise, or a leader, my goal is always the same, which is to bring clarity where there's chaos and help people make better decisions, better life, and better future. So that's what keeps me going. And seeing ideas turn into something real, sustainable, and meaningful is very important for me. So I'm here to support, and I would like to connect with anyone and support people out there.
All right, I'll leave it at that then, and we can they can reach out to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks so much.